Now, The Hunt Palmer Show. You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Looking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Tuesday. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Appreciate you hanging out with us on ESPN Baton Rouge. Got Jacob Beck and Casey Gaines back there on the ones and twos. Our normal Tuesday guests, just a little bit out of order. Gonna have Sharief Ishaq coming up in 15 minutes. Busy down in New Orleans these days with the carnival season in full swing. Got the Saints making moves, having press conferences, and the Pelicans with the Brandon Ingram flamethrower last night. We'll talk with Sharief Ishaq coming up in 15 minutes. Glenn West in his normal spot at 1:30 talking Tigers. Going to be a little special food delivery coming up at the end of this hour that I'm excited about. We'll get to that a little bit later. Some sound from Nate Yeskie, LSU's pitching coach, in hour number 2. Some thoughts on LSU's basketball scheduling in hour number 2. Nate Oats called Auburn a high school gym a little earlier. So we'll get to all of that over the next 2 hours. Appreciate you hanging out with us. We start with some college football. Bill Connolly at ESPN has made it a mission over the last decade, maybe a little bit more, to put football into objective terms. No one claims that this is a perfect way to do things, whether it's the FPI and who's got a better chance to win this game or that game, whether it's the SP Plus, or this metric where he attempts to put an objective number by college football teams returning production. This was a vitally important piece to discussing college football teams in the preseason. I realize it's hard to call February the preseason, but we will. It was vital to look at a team's returning production 10 years ago. Well, what's back and, okay, what's not? You going to replace that with a bunch of freshmen you just signed, or how? No, that's not the case anymore. We know that you go to other places and you find older players through the transfer portal to come in and fill some gaps. So my point in discussing this piece and Bill Connolly's point in writing this piece is not to nail down the teams who should be favored to win their conferences next year. It's merely a discussion point and something that I find a little bit interesting for a number of reasons. And there are some schools I want to point out. He's ranked all 134 of them. Kennesaw State, a new add to the FBS this coming season. So 134 teams he's ranked. We're not going to talk much about the Sun Belt here, not going to mention much about the MAC. We're not going to talk about the Pac-12 because it doesn't exist. But some schools that are of interest to those of you in this part of the country were interesting to me. Would it surprise you if I told you that the team that ranks the highest in the Southeastern Conference in returning production, actually, check that. Let me ask Jacob Beck what he thinks. If I were going to ask you what team in the SEC had the least amount of returning production coming back, what might you say off the top of your head? Give me a couple schools that might come to mind.
LSU.
Okay, fair.
Kentucky.
Okay.
And Alabama.
Those are all good answers. Did A&M cross your mind?
No, it didn't.
Okay.
It probably should have.
Well, it didn't. It doesn't. It shouldn't, because they are the tops in the SEC in returning production.
Okay.
That surprised me greatly to read. They returned 77% of their offensive production. You talk about Connor Wigman, Evan Stewart, Noah Thomas, Amari Daniels at running back, Reuben Owens at running back. A lot of production on their offense. They returned 67% of their defensive production. Jacoby Matthews is back. Shamar Turner's back. They got a few guys to come back once Mike Elko got the job from the transfer portal to come back to College Station. So I would think of A&M as a program undergoing a coaching change that was hemorrhaging players. Bill Connolly's metric suggests that may not exactly be true. I was interested to learn that Missouri is right up there towards the top of the SEC in terms of returning production, 31st in the country. Brady Cook is back. Luther Burden's back. No Cody Schrader. And I'm not going to go into their right guard because you don't know who played right guard for Missouri. I certainly don't either. I can go look it up. But we're talking about the top end of the roster, the guys with the football in their hands, the playmakers, the all-conference type players. Those are the people that you're interested in learning about. And they account for more production when they account for more yards. So Missouri up there at 31. Georgia down the list a little bit at number 47 on this list. And then you get to LSU. I haven't gone through every SEC team, but LSU ranks 60th in the country in returning production entering next year. They return 63% of their total production. As you would imagine, the majority of that is on the defensive side. 71% of LSU's defensive production returns next season. That's 26th best in the country. Now, the question is that a good thing or a bad thing? That's what you got to think about. I mean, if you had Mekhi Wingo coming back, well, that's a good thing. We know when healthy, as a freshman at Missouri and a sophomore at LSU, he was excellent. Last year, he was banged up. But a lot of the guys you have returning, you might look to and say, well, you were part of a defense that was quite literally near the worst in the history of LSU football. So is it good that you've got 71% of that back? And then on the flip side, as you would imagine, LSU only returns 55% of its offense. That's 84th in college football. Got to replace a Heisman Trophy winner, and you've got to replace the most, not decorated because that's not awards, statistically the greatest receiver in LSU history. You got to replace him and Brian Thomas as well, who led the nation in touchdowns last year. But I would submit this to an LSU fan. You return 71% of your defense, which is 26th best in the country, only 55% of your offense, losing the Heisman Trophy winner and those receivers I just talked about, losing your starting running back. I bet you, as an LSU fan, feel better about the offense anyway than you do about the defense entering next year. I think that might be a universally accepted feeling. So that goes to a deeper discussion into how important is this metric. Because I'm looking at one side of the ball for LSU where you're returning a lot and you're like, eh. And I'm looking at another side of the ball where you lost a ton, but you're going, well, I've seen Nussmeier play. Looks pretty good. Kyron Lacey's back.
Running backs look good.
Running backs, my offensive line looks pretty good. You got a couple of good tight ends. So it's not the be-all, end-all, and it was never supposed to be the be-all, end-all, but that's interesting. Same token, Ole Miss, 68th in the country in returning production. That's right in the middle. But they've gone out and added a ton in the transfer portal. So, yeah, Jackson Dart's back, and that's awesome. No, Quinshon Judkins is not there. He's moved on. But you've added so many guys in the transfer portal who have started and had productive careers elsewhere that the metric for Ole Miss really isn't about returning production. It's about how well you've supplemented a roster that did pretty well. Here's a school that is in unfamiliar territory. That's the Alabama Crimson Tide. 115th out of 134 teams in returning production. You have lost so much outside of Jalen Milroe. You have lost so much on the defensive side. The headliners like Dallas Turner going off to the NFL, but then Alabama never lost Caleb Downs in the Saban era. 5-star recruit, top 10 player of the country, immediate starter at safety, among the team leaders in tackles, freshman All-American, gone. Gone to Ohio State. And Alabama only returns 33% of its defense entering next season. That is 126th out of 134 programs in college football. That's where Bama's defense is. Now, that is not to suggest they don't have talented players on the defense. It is to suggest you've lost well over 2/3 of it. And we'll see what they can do to replace those things. You never had to ask that question in the Saban era. You never had to say, well, they lost like 5 key contributors. Can they replace them? Yes. The answer is yes. It always was. From 2007, 2023, the answer always was, yeah, they're fine. Are we sure that's the answer now? I'm not. And that's going through some SEC teams. But how about this one? Number 128 in the country, only 6 teams return fewer production from last year's team than the national champions of college football, the Michigan Wolverines. Feels like a great opportunity for Sharon Moore. You're taking over from the defending national champions, one of the biggest brands in college football. You've already been there. What a great parachute landing. Oh, wait, where are all our guys? And all the while, Ohio State's over there just shoveling money into the furnace. I mean, just spending it like it's burning a hole in their pocket. Do we think the power shifts back to Columbus this coming season? Michigan better replace a lot of dudes. So the overarching themes, as I pointed out there with this Bill Connolly piece, and you can read the entire thing on ESPN.com, A&M tops in the conference in returning production, surprised me. Missouri still got a lot coming back from one of their best teams in the last 20 years. Georgia, middle of the pack in terms of returning production. Not unheard of. They lose a lot of guys year in, year out to the draft, but truth remains. LSU, 60th out of 134. You're right about the middle. But you feel better about the side of the ball that lost more than you do about the other side of the ball that's got more back. Ole Miss, not a lot. Nobody really cares. Bama, a lot to replace. Can Kalen DeBoer do it? In Michigan, among the lowest returning production in all of college football, only 6 teams with fewer. I think some of that's interesting. Again, it does not mean you can accurately predict a record. Some returning production is more important than others. Some schools are more equipped to replace production than others. Like if I were to see Missouri on this list where Michigan is at 128, I would go, okay, they had their one old team with a lot of guys who were going to move on. Now they're toast. Michigan's probably got a better chance of restocking those shelves. So does Bama. But I just find it interesting. Thanks for hanging out with us here on this Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Plenty more to get to over the next 2 segments. We're talking Saints and Pels. We're talking Tigers. We'll come back with Sharief Ishaq next.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary. For those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal. a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
Bar specials and more for the big game on Sunday, February 11th at the Sportsbook at L'Auberge. Maximum $100 off tab. Must be 21 to enter gaming side of Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-770-STOP. If you're tired of erosion and mud and want your lawn looking its best, winter is the easiest time to lay grass sod. Let Quality Sod help you select the perfect grass for your lawn. For winter sale prices, call 610-4842 or QualitySod.com.
After further review with Matt Moscona, weekday afternoons from 3 to 6 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. 5 brands on one lot. Shop BayouAutomotive.com.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. 1 day away from National Signing Day. Shay Dixon joins us to set the stage. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I bet you never heard old Marshall Dillon say, Miss Kitty, have you ever thought of running away? Settling down, would you marry me?
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Rest in peace to Toby Keith, gone way too young. Stomach cancer claimed his life overnight. This song will always remind me of one specific thing. It was on the 1992 Cowboys Super Bowl VHS, and my parents got that for me. I was 5. And at the end, it was Elton John, Rocket Man, and Toby Keith Should Have Been a Cowboy. And it had all the Cowboys highlights to it. It was at the end of the VHS. I promise you I watched that VHS 300 times. And this was at the end of it. And it's one of my favorite Toby Keith songs. It's a great one. My love for the Cowboys did not endure, but this song certainly has. And I like it. Sharief, you like Should Have Been a Cowboy?
Probably the only song I know. I mean, I'm not really a big country guy. But I've heard of Should Have Been a Cowboy for sure.
It's a good one. How are the vibes in the city this week as we're fully into the carnival season?
Well, last weekend was half of a disaster because the city flooded on Saturday.
Yes.
Sewage and Water Board, an absolute disaster, but I think everyone who listens to your show already knew that.
Yes.
But it was fun. I mean, I got to be one of the celebrity riders and Mad Hatters in Metairie. That was a good time on Sunday. They moved the parade from Saturday to Sunday, and weather was perfect. Crowds are massive. The Sunday parades uptown were apparently pretty good because of the weather. And here we are coming into the final stretch, Wednesday through Tuesday. The weekend looks pretty brutal again. So,
yeah, Sunday's not looking good. I'm planning on being down there all weekend, and Sunday doesn't look great. If you could attend a parade, not as working with coverage, but one parade throughout the carnival season, what's the tops on your list?
Bacchus Sunday. It's not even close, especially this year because my guy Johnny Drama is riding the parade.
Is he?
Anything? Yes, he is the Grand Marshal for Bacchus this year.
Interesting.
So I'm a big fan of that.
I will not make it all the way for Bacchus. I was asking this question to some of my friends who have obviously done a lot more Mardi Gras than I have. Hypothetically, now they took care of themselves, so we didn't have to, but hypothetically, if the Saints were in the Super Bowl this weekend, what would they have done with Bacchus? Move it to Monday or something?
Let's see. I think it was when it happened in 2010. We were right around Mardi Gras. They probably would have. Man, that's a great question. I don't know what would have happened if it fell on Mardi Gras.
Well, surely they wouldn't roll it during the Super Bowl. No one would be there.
No, yeah, you're right. I don't think any of the parades would roll that day. That would be my guess. I think they would push it back into Monday. Yeah, I think they would try to push all the parades back into Monday. They wouldn't do that to the Saints. It'd be one. If they won, and then you got pandemonium once again with Mardi Gras in the parade.
Well, yeah, we won't have to worry about that. But maybe in the Clint Kubiak era, the Saints will make the Super Bowl. What did you think of the hire?
Well, when we were on the show last week, I said, Clint Kubiak or Brian Greasy, and they got Clint Kubiak. You get a 36-year-old creative mind who was already a play caller with the Minnesota Vikings in 2021. Innovative. You hope that, continues as he, comes here to New Orleans. And you hope in the motion and the play action and your creativity bumps up even more with this offense with Kubiak here. And, I think it's a good move. I mean, I got to praise them for taking their time and getting their guy, the right guy, instead of just going with anyone and just hearing the outside noise of, come on, you got to hire someone. Give Mickey Loomis, Dennis Allen their credit for getting the guy that, hopes can get their offense going.
Look, I think any hope that Michael Thomas and Derek Carr and company are going to play nice are probably over. And we talked about that last week, and you don't expect Michael Thomas to be back. So it's hypothetically, if we removed him from the conversation and you move forward with the rest of that crew and maybe add a free agent here or there and a draft pick here or there, how do you feel about the team chemistry of that group if you take Michael Thomas out? I know it was something that was talked about throughout the season.
I actually like it. I do like, to have Chris, A.T. Perry, Rashid Shaheed, and you probably, like you said, you're going to have to go out there and draft or add somebody in free agency. You probably want to bring in a young veteran, to help the younger guys out. You don't want to just, stick with the young guys, which has worked out well, but you got to get some guys in there because of depth. And I would like it. I like what they have already with the top three, but, and Derek, it's also going to have to depend on that offensive line for all that stuff to work. But, the future is certainly bright with those three guys. The top, especially the top two. I mean, you see Rashid Shaheed, there's a Pro Bowler. I know anybody can make a Pro Bowl, but he had a good season. And so did Chris. Chris came on, played when he was hurt, and, and AT came on pretty well at the end of the year. So, the future seems pretty bright, and I like it, what the Kubiak's going to have a chance to work with. Can't wait to see what he does with some of these players. Does he try to, mold them into some of the Deebo Samuels and the Kittles that they have on that team and try to make that offense work kind of a similar way? We'll see. And I think he's going to have some imaginary things and good pieces to work with.
Doug Marrone was not retained once the reports came out of Clint Kubiak being the new offensive coordinator. Do you believe that was his decision?
I think it's, whenever you hire an offensive coordinator, he's going to want his he's going to want his coaches in there. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a whole new offensive staff. I mean, it's still Ronald Curry. Will they retain him, or will Ronald Curry try to go get another job, elsewhere with another team? Does he, go to the Broncos? Does he go somewhere else? Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Kubiak made that decision. I mean, it just wasn't working.
No.
I mean, Bobby Hebert wrote in the Pray With Me on Sunday, and he was right when at the Mickey Loomis press conference, he had asked Mickey, "Hey, have you heard? We've heard rumbles that Doug Marrone might be retiring." Mickey kind of laughed it off and said, "I have not heard that. I expect him to be back." Well, Bobby must have knew something whenever they were talking about it. So yeah, he did some good and did some bad. Could never get Trevor Penning. Could never tap his potential. And I think that he did a decent job with Cesar Ruiz and getting Andrew Speed on the field and keeping him there on the field this year. So. We'll see. We'll see how Clint Kubiak handles that hire, because I think that's an important hire for him.
What do we think about backup quarterback? Is Jameis Winston's time in New Orleans done?
I would think he's probably going to move on. I would think he and Mike are probably the two guys I think move on. I would like to see them go get maybe a Joe Flacco. He may stay in Cleveland, but I'd like to see them go get a veteran. They need a veteran behind Derek Carr. I mean, I just don't know if he can roll with Jay Kaner, even though Jeff Ireland mentioned he would have liked to see him play more during that Senior Bowl conversation we had with him last week. But I still think you can't roll with a guy who doesn't touch the field last year as a rookie. You got to go find a backup who has some veteran experience.
I think they probably will. Sharief Ishaq's our guest down in New Orleans, WDSU. Were you in the blender last night? Seemed like quite a show Mr. Ingram put on.
I was anchoring. Fletcher was at the game and just watching, and I'm like, man, I'd love to get this Brandon Ingram every game, which I know it's impossible to have a guy drop 41 every game, but he was just locked in. He at one point made 5 straight threes.
Yep.
He franchise record 6 threes in the third quarter, 20 points overall in the third. It's magical whenever he's hitting his shots, man. It's just that midi, the elbow, the baseline. And, I mean, when he's locked in like that, he's one of the more dangerous shooters in the NBA. And he was just all over it last night, even in the 9 assists. And he was close to getting a triple-double. And they need that. They need that on this 4-game road trip.
What was the most surprising piece to his stat line? The 9 assists, the 3-point makes, or the 3-point attempts?
I think the efficiency from downtown. You were 8 of 11, and it happened with 5 straight threes.
Yep.
And you made 6 of them. I think that was the most impressive part. I mean, when you're locked in, man. When you can drill threes like that, I think that's just impressive. Because he doesn't notoriously take that many threes. I know they wanted to up his total this year, but there are times when he just doesn't take them. He's very reliant on his mid-range jumper a lot, and that's what he specializes in making those. But I like the fact that, hey, let me get loose and make some threes. When he started making them, like any good shooter, they'll just keep shooting them.
When you start playing really good teams, especially in the playoffs, a lot of games come down to the last 3 or 4 minutes, and that's when you've got to be at your highest efficiency in crunch time. In your opinion, where does the ball need to be for the Pelicans down the stretch and into the playoffs, should they make it, in the last few minutes?
It needs to be with Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. Those two guys, you saw, I know it's the Spurs, but you saw a little bit of it there with Zion Williamson wanting the ball in his hand against Victor Wembanyama in crunch time. That was their first win, I believe, by 3 or fewer points this season. They were 0-6 going into that, game. So, yeah, I need to see B.I. and Zion. If you are calling them stars, they got to play like stars. And those are the two guys in the final 5 minutes, crunch time, that need to close it out. I mean, it's good to get CJ to chip in and JV and Trey, but you've got to have those two guys take over games when it comes to the last 32 games of this schedule, and hopefully a top 6 seed and into the playoffs. Because if not, they're going to be in a bad situation. And Willie talked about it last night. We still got to be better. We got to beat these elite teams when we play them, and they're going to get a chance to play some of these experienced teams on this road trip. I know it's the Clippers and Lakers, and people are like, the Lakers aren't technically a top 6 seed, but they've been there, done that already. So, and the Clippers have destroyed them last time. So it'd be nice to split those coming up here Wednesday and Friday.
We shall see. Enjoy the weekend. Say it's a magic weekend down there in New Orleans. We'll talk next week, Sharief. Thanks.
All right. You never know. I might be able to run into you at some point in time this weekend.
It may happen. I'll be there. That says Sharief Ishaq, WDSU down there in New Orleans. We're going on Friday, spending the night Friday, spending the night Saturday, going out Sunday. It's a lot with a 2-year-old, but we'll see what happens. Looking forward to getting down there to New Orleans. You mentioned that Brandon Ingram hit 5 threes in a row literally last night. And for those that missed that, it reminds me of a YouTube video I watched a lot of times back towards more my college years. Tayshaun Prince at Kentucky did that against North Carolina. And he hit the first 3 were in rhythm of the offense, and then he took one that was pretty long for the 4th one. And the 5th one, he literally still has his heels on the big UK logo near midcourt, and he shoots it and makes it. And it's just an incredible video of Tayshaun in a college game. B.I. did it in the NBA last night, which doesn't happen very often, making it 3-on-5 consecutive trips down the court. Pretty good stuff. B.I. needs to shoot more threes. That's what Sharief was hinting at there. When they know he can make mid-range shots and then can get to the rim and the foul line, to expand his scoring game to as good as it can be, he needs to make some shots from three-point range, and he got hot last night. They need to do a little bit more of that moving forward. All right, Glenn West talking Tigers when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
ESPN Bet is live in Louisiana. It's the official sportsbook of ESPN. ESPN Bet is the only place to find daily exclusives and offers with your favorite ESPN personalities and shows. I just did this entire process right here. I'm speaking from personal experience. Sign up today. I did that on Saturday. And new users get $100 in bonus bets for making any sportsbook bet. I deposited $10 in my account. I bet Alabama to beat Mississippi State on the money line. It paid out $2.50. I withdrew my $12.50 out, and then I got 5 $20 bets. I just put them all in the Super Bowl. I got Christian McCaffrey's MVP. I got 4 touchdown scores for big plus odds. I got a quarterback throwing for 509 yards. It's all free money. I'm just throwing it back into the app. It's the best place to find all your favorite markets and bets like in-game wagering, cross-sport parlays, teasers, and all the props that you can handle. That's ESPN Bet. You can download today. What a play. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. In partnership with LeBares Lake Charles. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 Black Widow trucks, $20,000 off new Ram 1500 trucks, and all new Bayou Automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer ends April 30th, 2024.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few.
On Wednesday's OTB, Jake is out, Flynn is in. An hour of flustering coming your way. Plus, one day closer to the big game. Also, it's signing day, and Bussy Watch continues. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
She said, I seen you in here before. I said, I've been here a time or two.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Another incredible hit by Toby there. We'll see if you play my favorite Toby Keith song. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You got a few more chances to get it in. But this is good stuff. Kim Mulkey was singing this on the morning show this morning. I saw Toby Keith when I was in high school, Shreveport. Excellent show. Very much enjoyed it.
Where do they do concerts in Shreveport?
It's actually in Bossier. It's been called a few things. At that point, it was the Century Tel Center. Then it was the Century Link Center. Then it was Brookshire's Arena, which I think it may still be right now. That's what it was when I went for LSU Louisiana Tech about 3 years ago. It's good stuff. R.I.P. to the great Toby Keith. Head out to Jim's Firearms Hotline. Chat with our guy Glenn West, senior writer over at Go 24/7. Glenn, how are you?
I'm doing great, Hunt. Was actually cranking up some Toby Keith on my workout today, so we'll pour one out into a red Solo cup for the legend today.
Exactly right. I'll fill you up. Proceed to party. Party for the Tigers Saturday inside the PMAC. A really, really good offensive performance in the first half, and they just kind of held them at arm's length. Arkansas never really got back in the game in the second half. Your impressions of that performance by the basketball team, big picture?
Yeah, I think it was a good next step. I mean, when you kind of needed to shave off that 3-game losing streak in this game on Saturday, it was important that LSU came out with some intensity and some passion and played with some aggression on offense in particular. I thought that they did a really nice job of moving the ball. They were getting pretty much any shot that they wanted. I think probably one of the biggest things that they did was, not only just the ball movement, but the shot quality that they were getting off of their ball movement was really, really strong. That starts obviously with what was going on with replacing Jalen Cook with Trey Hannibal. I mean, I think that obviously had a pretty big effect early in this game as LSU was really able to get out to a fast start, and Cook was able to watch for a few minutes and kind of let the game pace kind of come to him from the bench. And I thought he did a really nice job of setting the tone off the bench as well with 20 points on 8 shots, one of his more efficient games as a Tiger since his return. And you got Will Baker going for 25 points. The kick and the pick and pop was really working for him early in this game with his 3 early threes that really set the tone there. And then look, Hannibal, Cook, and Jordan Wright, I think between the 3 of them had 13 or 14 assists and 2 or 3 turnovers. I mean, that's going to win you a lot of games if your backcourt is giving you that kind of distribution with that little turnover rate as well. So a really strong offensive day for LSU. It was important for them to get that win because, as I'm sure you've talked about, they go into a pretty brutal 5-game stretch here over the next couple weeks.
Yeah, let's talk about that here in a second, but I do want to stay with Will Baker there for a second. I'm not expecting him to score 25 points a night. Can they count on him for 12 to 15?
Yeah, I think so. Look, I think probably the biggest thing that's hurt Will Baker, at least in the start of SEC play, he just seems to be getting himself in early foul trouble. And a lot of these games, he plays for a few minutes, picks up 2 quick fouls, and is on the bench for the next 13 or 14 minutes. And I actually asked him about that after the game, and he said it's been really important for him to work on, moving his feet, not picking up that early foul trouble, and that has allowed him to get into a rhythm in that game against Arkansas. And I think he has potential to be a pretty dominating threat from beyond the arc. I mean, they haven't really leaned into that aspect of his game. It's been more trying to pound it into the paint with him. But I think what you saw on Saturday is that those pick and pops are really, really beneficial for him. And if he's able to get into an early rhythm with those early 3-pointers, and then you maybe lean into the other aspects of his game in the post that make a lot of sense. So I think you can absolutely expect him to get 12 to 15 points is kind of your go-to big, and that was a good first step, I think, for him to take against Arkansas in conference play.
10 games left in the regular season. The first 5 are ridiculously hard. The last 5, things really, really ease up. In your estimation, how many of these next 5 do they need to win to be able to put themselves in a position to play some important games down the stretch?
I mean, if you're asking me what the biggest optimist of optimists can kind of get from these next 5, I mean, I think 2, maybe 3 if you're really, really lucky. But I think, look, I mean, you got to play top 5 team in the country in Tennessee. You got to play a top 15 team in Alabama. You're playing South Carolina, who's a top 15 team. Florida is no slouch as well. I mean, like these are 3 or 4 of the best teams in the conference you've got to play here over the next 5 games. And I think probably the most realistic option, to be honest, is you might luck into 1, maybe 2 games over the next 5. But that's going to put a lot of stress on you to finish real strong here. But yeah, it's going to be a really, 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 really tough to walk in and expect that LSU is going to walk away with a winning record. I didn't even mention Kentucky, who's a top 10 team. They got to finish with Kentucky during that 5-game stretch. So, it's going to be a brutal stretch, but we're going to learn a lot, I think, about just how ready this program is to win these types of games over the next couple weeks.
If they can get one of those 5, you'd have 5 league wins going into a stretch with Mississippi State home, Georgia home, at Vanderbilt, at Arkansas, home Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
If you had 5 wins going into that with a chance to get 3 more, maybe 4 more, like all of a sudden you're getting to 8 or 9 wins, and I didn't give them a chance at 8 or 9 wins back during Christmas.
Yeah, I thought my most optimistic view was that they would get 8, this conference play, and so that would be a real improvement if they could get to 8 or 9 wins and kind of finish that final 5 games with a really strong run. I mean, if you're talking about maybe going 4-1, 3-2 over those final 5 games there, you're really building momentum into the SEC tournament where, a lot of bizarre things can happen in that tournament. And, LSU hasn't had a ton of success there in the past, but, you're pretty much in that context, you'd be fighting for your season at that point, to kind of make as deep a run as you could. So look, I think over the next 5 games, if you go 500 or maybe next 10 games, if you go 500 or maybe a couple games over 500, that's got to be a real big win if you're LSU and if you're Matt McMahon, as you kind of turn your head into the towards postseason play. I think that would be an ideal finish for LSU.
One of those last 5 is at Arkansas, as we mentioned. That's a team we saw in the PMAC on Saturday. I asked Matthew Bruni this question yesterday, and I'll pose it to you. Like, how odd was it to see an Arkansas team that non-competitive under Eric Musselman on Saturday, and what do you make of that game that LSU will play in Fayetteville in early March? I would feel like LSU has a great chance to win there. They just look completely lost to me.
Yeah, I was looking at Musselman's kind of facial reactions and just kind of demeanor in the second half, and he had his head down for a lot of that second half. He was sitting on the bench. I mean, those Musselman teams in the past, he was up, shouting and really, coaching his team up for 40 minutes there when they were really, really good. This past weekend, he was on the bench for most of the game. There was just nothing that he was telling his guys that seemed to be sinking in. That's a real worrisome kind of deal, I think, if you're Arkansas, when you're not really reaching the team at this point in the season. And I think LSU's going to have a shot to win that game. I mean, they're going through it right now in terms of just their demeanor and where they're at as a program. Certainly seems to have taken a little bit of a step back. So that's absolutely a game I think LSU can win to kind of close out conference play.
We're 10 days from opening day out at the box. It'll be a 2 o'clock first pitch next Friday. Who do you have taking the ball for LSU in the opener?
Yeah, I've gone back and forth on this. I've been going kind of between Holman and Thatcher Hurd, but I do think it's going to be Hurd. I mean, look, that's the guy that won you the national championship last year. I think it behooves LSU to at least start with him in the Friday spot and just give him that kind of leeway. I think he's earned it, and from all accounts, he's made some real strides, in the off season as a pitcher, and seems to be ready to take on that kind of lead role. That would make the most sense to me, is to roll it out with Hurd. But look, they've got a pretty loaded starting staff. I mean, look, if you told me that Gage Jump was out there throwing on Friday night, I would have no complaints. I think just from everything we've been told and everything I've seen, he's been probably the most consistently dominant pitcher that they've had going back to the fall. But I do think that Thatcher has put himself in a position here to earn that first start. And just kind of judging off of the last couple of years, they've gone with some veteran guys in that opening day starter, and that even goes back to the Maneri age, where he would go back and have a lot of veterans pitch in those opening games to start the season. So I'm looking at Thatcher Hurd as my guy on Friday night.
We shall see. We'll talk about it again next week. Enjoy your weekend, Glenn. We'll talk next week.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks, Hunt.
Glenn West, senior writer over at Go 24/7 for all your recruiting and team coverage. He's got you covered with football, got you covered with basketball, got you covered with baseball, as we mentioned. And, of course, Terry Bussey, big recruiting announcement coming up tomorrow. They'll have you covered. Sonny, Glenn, and the folks over at Go 24/7 will have you covered right there for all your LSU needs. Take a timeout, come back, and close out hour number 1 with a special food delivery. I'm very, very excited about it. We'll talk about it next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 Black Widow trucks, $20,000 off new Ram 1500 trucks, and all new Bayou Automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Join MMR and ignite your career today. MMR is the largest electrical and instrumentation contractor in the nation, and they're seeking talented individuals to join their team. For over 3 decades, they've been headquartered right here in Baton Rouge, and they have offices all around the globe.
And MMR offers a tailored path for both professional and personal development, outstanding benefits, and a dynamic culture. So whether you're an intern, a seasoned pro, or you're just starting out, see what MMR can offer you. Apply at mmrgrp.com.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The importance of doing this Fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the Fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a Fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction.
Sandigriff join us for the Wednesday edition of Live at Lunch from Finbom, Wesley at Burbank. Among our guests, Randy McKay, professional sports handicapper, Scott Rabelais from The Advocate, and Wes Reynolds from Beeson. Live at Lunch from Finbom, 11 a.m. Wednesday on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Really, man, come on. 6 o'clock news says somebody been shot. Somebody's been abused. Somebody blew up a building.
Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs face Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers in the Super Bowl 58 Sunday. Coverage from Westwood 1 begins at 1 p.m. with a special Super Bowl edition of NFL Preview, with kickoff set for 5:30 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
little beer for my horses there. Toby and Willie. Not my favorite, but very good still. We're 3 for 3 on great songs. We just haven't gotten to my favorite yet. We got 3 more chances to get to it in the second hour. We finish up this hour. I'm fired up. Adam Kutcher from Chris's Specialty Foods is here. He has got with him a Boudin king cake. I love king cake. I love Boudin. I have never had a Boudin king cake. What inspired this?
Today's the day. I mean, exactly what you just said. There's a lot of people in South Louisiana that love Boudin. That's what we do. We're a Cajun specialty food store.
Mm-hmm.
And king cake season, it's like you see Bavarian cream, you see cream cheese, you see all these different stuffings and different kinds. It's like, we do Boudin. Why don't we do it?
I mean, I couldn't possibly agree more. I'm one of these people that's all about like combining things and making things happen. And I also am one of these people that I'm pro like flavored king cakes. There are some people that are like purely traditionalists. I don't want any filling. I don't want any stuffing. Just give me the traditional thing. And that's fine. I just want all the good stuff. And Boudin is among my favorites. How many of these are y'all selling a day over there?
Well, we actually ship across the country too.
Okay,
so,
good to know.
I'm shipping all over the place. For the music people, we actually shipped one to Big D and Bubba this week.
There you go.
And he's gonna bring it on his show this week sometime too.
Awesome.
But we ship some to DC for the DC Mardi Gras.
Sure.
Kennedy's Senator Kennedy's office.
Mm-hmm.
He actually has king cakes all over his office the whole week of Mardi Gras, trying to get a little bit of everybody's just to show them what it's about. But yeah, 3 to 400. By the time it's all said and done, probably closer to 1,000.
That's incredible. Look, tell people where your stores are, where they can get these if they want to stop in. I'm headed to New Orleans this weekend. I may stop in and grab one of these bad boys.
I'll see you in New Orleans because that's where I'm at.
Awesome.
We have 3 locations. We're opening one pretty soon somewhere else, but our 3 locations are Millerville on I-12 by Harold's Ferry.
Mm-hmm.
That's our main store. That's where the kitchen is. That's where they cook everything. We have a satellite store in Prairieville on Airline, right by close to the Walmart and the Franks out there. And then the store I run is in Lakeview on West End and Harrison.
Okay.
When 10 and 610 split, stay on 610 is the first exit. We're half mile on the right.
All right, so I'm about to dig into this thing. It's really dense, which I'm fired up about, and that Boudin's all the way stuffed all the way through there. What's on top of it there?
Top of it is, it's Mardi Gras, so you got to have the coloring. So we got a little coloring on top, some sprinkles. We make our own cane syrup, which is what's in the cup in the middle. It's also on top. And then what's Boudin without a little pork crackling on top?
That's exactly right. I'm getting the crackling. There's a little crunch there. The Boudin is phenomenal.
A lot of people try this at home and they do like bacon bits or something like that on top, but we can't do bacon bits. We got to do pork crackling. And that's exactly what it is.
This is probably the best king cake I've ever eaten. It is wildly not traditional.
It's not,
but it's so good. It's got the savory nature of that Boudin. You got a little bit of the sweet on the top, and you got the crunchy with the crackling. This is an A+ if you're doing Mardi Gras this weekend for sure. Is this your favorite king cake?
It is for sure. We have people that come in the store saying, "Hey, I'm going to a king cake party where everybody brings their own king cake.
Yep.
Let me win one." And so we get them this, and I get people all the time that send me messages. "Hey, that's the one I want." And I'll see it on Facebook all the time. Somebody posting pictures of king cake parties, and that's the one that wins.
I got a full mouth. But if somebody's like, "Oh yeah, I want to be in king cake," what else do y'all have? It's a big party weekend.
It is
in South Louisiana now. As I
chicken and pork crackling, Boudin. We have hot every day. We have Boudin balls, pepper jack Boudin balls.
Oh yeah,
Boudin links, chicken crackling, pork crackling. That's hot every day. We also have all your soups and gumbos in quart containers that you can drop into boiling water. 15 minutes, they're done. Stuffed chickens, 7 different stuffed chickens, steaks, sides. We have a Valentine's Day special coming up with the steaks because it is Ash Wednesday, but you'll still find your time to eat your steak for Valentine's Day.
I have not had my last piece of this Boudin king cake, that's for sure. You can find them online, chrisspecialtyfoods.com. chrisspecialtyfoods.com, as Adam mentioned, 3 locations down here in South Louisiana. Big party weekend. Just please do yourself a favor and get one of these Boudin king cakes. It's awesome.
$31.99.
There you go.
It's about the price of all the other king cakes. You can order it online. If you order it online, I'll get it shipped out to you tomorrow, and you'll get it Friday, just in time for the weekend. Or you can go by the store anytime this week. Most of our stores are open 9 to 6 every day.
Awesome. Adam, really appreciate you coming on in. He's Adam Kutcher from Chris's Specialty Foods. Go check out your Boudin king cake. Make it happen. This is fantastic. We got about a 4-minute break coming up, and I might just get another piece of this king cake. You can't rule that out at all. If you missed any of our first hour, you can catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on-demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you find your sound, you can find us. College football returning production. I opened the hour with that. Sharief Ishaq from WDSU talking Saints, new offensive coordinator, and Pels BI on a hot streak last night. Glenn West talking Tigers basketball and baseball, and then a little Boudin king cake to close things out. We'll pause for SportsCenter. When we come back, we'll hear from LSU head pitching coach Nate Yeskie. Also, I want to talk a little about LSU's basketball schedule and what I see as we kind of look back at the non-conference. We'll pause for SportsCenter. I'm going to eat some Boudin king cake, and we'll see you on the other side. Hunt Palmer Show.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer ends April 30th, 2024.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Is Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. 76ers center, reigning NBA MVP Joel Embiid underwent a procedure on his left meniscus injury today. He'll miss at least 4 weeks. How his recovery goes over the next few weeks will be critical. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski is reporting there's still a belief the door is not closed on the possibility Embiid returns in the regular season. ESPN NBA analyst Kendrick Perkins.
Even if he comes back, he's still going to take time for the big fella to ramp things up. And then we're going to be going into April, the most crucial part of the NBA season, right into the play-in tournament, right into the postseason. High-level basketball. And with his history, I wouldn't chance it.
Philadelphia's lost 6 of 7, is 5th in the East. Dodgers and lefty Clayton Kershaw, one of the greatest players in the history of that franchise, agreed on a new contract. The structure of the deal not yet known, so he'll stay with the only organization he's ever pitched for. He'll miss the first half of his 17th season with LA, recovering from off-season shoulder surgery. Oilers tonight going for an NHL record 17th straight win when they visit the defending Stanley Cup champion Golden Knights, 10 Eastern, ESPN+.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Cannon. Coming up Wednesday, if the 49ers don't win the Super Bowl, I'll tell you why their season will be considered a failure. It's unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Direct your attention to something quite extraordinary.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show. The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2, Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. As you know, I ate a piece of Boudin king cake in the last segment. And then Adam, on his way out, was like, hey, I need to get a picture of you taking a bite of that. I went, oh, so I've got to eat another piece? Darn.
That sucks.
So I ate another piece of Boudin king cake during the commercial there. So I'm 2 pieces in. You got a piece, Beck. What'd you think?
It's very good.
Very, very good. I love Boudin. I love Boudin. Boudin balls, Boudin rolls, Boudin king cake.
I mean, it's got to be like the
general.
most Louisiana thing you can think of. Combining king cake and Boudin.
That's very true. That's very, very true. And yeah, very, very, very tasty. So got a lot to get to in hour number 2. We'll talk in a few minutes about LSU's basketball non-conference schedule now that a lot of it's in the rearview mirror. And I don't think that many of you are paying close attention to how a lot of LSU's non-conference opponents were doing. So I want to get a little bit of that and kind of my thoughts on that moving forward in the Matt McMahon era. Nate Oats had an interesting quote a little bit earlier today about his team's game with Auburn coming up in Auburn Arena later this week. So we'll get to some of that. But I wanted to start with a little LSU baseball here. Nate Yeskie, in his first year as the LSU pitching coach, met with the media at the end of last week and had a few quotes. And it's interesting because this LSU pitching staff, well, one, the personalities turn over year. Secondly, you've had a different pitching coach all 3 years of the Jay Johnson era. You had Jason Kelly, who came in, did a pretty good job, I thought, with a limited talent pool. And then he moved on to be the head coach at Washington. And then you had Wes Johnson come in, what was kind of a shocking move to get him from the major leagues in Minnesota from a first-place team to come and be the pitching coach at LSU. And then he moves on to be the head coach at Georgia. So now you've got Nate Yeskie, who worked for Jay Johnson previously at Arizona. And he comes in, his personality is very different from Jason Kelly or Nate Yeskie, but he, in his interviews and then watching him during practices and scrimmages, is very stern, very detail-oriented. He's intense, for lack of a better term. He's very, very engaged and kind of thoughtful. It doesn't appear to me to be a huge personality. He's a pitching coach. He wants to coach ball. So you're not going to hear a ton of vibrant personality in these bites, but you are going to get thoughtful comments on some of the questions that were asked. And the first is on a guy that I spent some time talking to you about last week based on Jay Johnson and Tommy White's quotes. These are from Nate Yeskie on left-hander gauge jump.
Well, he's got stuff. I mean, the metric world can measure some of those things. He's certainly competitive. Left-handed, it's just different when you can do what he does from that side of the rubber. And so when you have that and you have kind of an advanced secondary repertoire that you can go to, I think those things just kind of as a blend, and there aren't guys like him. So the uniqueness of what he does, I think, kind of sets him apart in addition to all of the things that he already kind of possesses intrinsically from his competitiveness and just desire to want to be good.
It's not every single year that the winner of the College World Series or the finalists in the College World Series have the best rotation. It's not necessary to have the first pick in the draft like LSU did last year to win the national championship. But it certainly helps. And I don't think Gage Jump's going to be the first pick in the draft. He's a little undersized. He doesn't have 98 in the tank. Like, that's not what I'm suggesting. But you look at the last three teams standing last year. It was LSU, it was Wake Forest, and it was Florida. And you look at Rhett Lauder and Hartle, Josh Hartle, what those guys were at Wake Forest at the top of that rotation, which was dominant, all-conference, all-American type guys. And you looked at Florida last year, and you saw Hurston Waldrop, who was a top 25 pick in the draft and was an all-league player and was a massive strikeout guy that has big league stuff. And you looked at LSU with Skeens, and then you saw Ty Floyd go in the first round. It's not a must. It's not a requirement. It just really helps when you've got, and this goes without saying, but you understand what I'm getting at. You don't have to be Skeens. You really need to be a first 50 picks type guy. It just makes life a lot easier because without Paul Skeens last year, LSU does not make it to the final because you would not have won that Tommy White walk-off game that Skeens and Lauder pitched without someone who could go out there and throw zeros up against the best teams in the country. Not to mention what it means on Friday nights and Saturdays in Southeastern Conference play when you're oftentimes facing guys that are going to be first-round picks, second-round picks. You got to give yourself a chance to win those. I truly, truly believe that all three pitchers that I believe LSU's weekend rotation will be comprised of, that's Thatcher Hurd, Gage Jump, and Luke Holman, I think all of them could go in the first 50 picks of the Major League Draft this summer. And I think Jump might be the best one. We don't know that. He doesn't have a proven track record. You can point to Luke Holman going out on Fridays last year after Hitt and Hess, their two top pitchers, Grayson Hitt and Ben Hess, got hurt, and he became their first guy. He went out there on Fridays. He went out there in the regional opener. He went out there in the super regional opener. Like, you've got a track record on Luke Holman. Thatcher Hurd had dominant outings, spattered across the year. Great outing at Texas in that midweek win. Fantastic stuff in a couple of regular season games, specifically in the regional when you had to come back after a rain delay and give the ball to Thatcher Hurd because Ty Floyd couldn't go back out there because of the weather, and he was striking everybody out. And then we know what he did in the national championship game. Jump doesn't have any of that, but the reviews coming from the program, from the players, the pitchers, and the coaches are glowing, and I think he's got a chance to be a star this year for LSU. This is Yeskie kind of on the staff as a whole. What is he like about this specific pitching staff?
The competitiveness. A lot of guys that have had some history to it, and guys that I think understand the importance of getting outs. Not necessarily am I starting, am I closing, what's my role. You look at last year with Ackenhausen and Herring. If they don't do what they did, then certainly the team doesn't end up where they're at. And those are guys that at the beginning of the year could have probably said, well, I'm not starting, or I'm not starting on a Friday, and it gone south. Instead, they stayed engaged, stayed focused on their work, And that way, the strange way of this game is it will come calling to you at some time. And if you don't stay engaged with the things that you can control and preparing to do the work, then what's going to happen is you're going to get exposed when your name does get called.
And I think that aspect of it is a different discussion. I think LSU's got really top-end rotation stuff. I think Thatcher Hurd can be an ace in the SEC. I think Gage Jump can be an ace in the SEC. I think Luke Holman is a bona fide SEC weekend innings eater and potential dominant pitcher. I think those things. I know they've got a lot of guys that can help, especially if you get into one of those situations like in the losers bracket in a regional or last year in the College World Series where you just had to hope that Nate Ackenhausen and Griffin Herring and Gavin Guidry could figure it out. And they did. But you had to hope. I know they've got 8 or 9 guys that can go get outs at this level. I know Holman can. I know Hurd can. I know Ackenhausen can. I know Herring can. I know Guidry can. Like, you start to rattle along the list, and I'm not even talking about the Cam Johnsons and not talking about Gage Jump there. But you've got a long list of guys who have gotten really important outs in their college careers. And the depth is not to be in question with this LSU pitching staff. And the last part, we've done the weekend rotation, kind of the staff as a whole. What about who gets the outs late in games?
That's the nice part is I think that we've got a handful of guys that can do it. Obviously, Guidry's done it in the past. Cade Woods, who's transferring from Alabama, has done it in the past. You look at last year, I think there was a handful of guys that had saves. So I've been around enough offensive guys that when they're trying to game plan, if you just set aside one guy, everybody wants Mariano Rivera. I mean, or Trevor Hoffman, guys like that. But in this day and age, if a guy was to throw, say, a Friday and a Saturday to finish a game and got the job done, and you have 3 other capable guys to put in that last 3 outs or whatever it takes, college is a little different. You see some hybrid closers that'll go out there and throw 5, 6 outs, sometimes even more. And your offense can allow you to make some of those decisions too if you're up 3 and you're at the right part of the order. But the back end to me, it's different in the sense of the game might be on the line in the 8th inning. And you might have to go to your guy then, and now he's gotten you through, and maybe that's all he had to give you for that day, and you can go to somebody else. So we're trying to give as many guys opportunities to be able to do those things.
And I think that'll be the case. I don't necessarily know that you're going to settle on a closer. It wouldn't shock me if Gavin Guidry led this team in saves. It would not be a surprise to me if Justin Lohr led this team in saves. He did that at a really high level at Xavier last year. He ended Vanderbilt's season by getting a big-time save in the regional last year in Nashville. It wouldn't shock me if Cam Johnson developed into that. Now, I don't know how heavy they want to dive into Cam Johnson throwing 38 pitches one day and then coming back 2 days later and giving you 30 more. Like, this is a young arm with amazing talent that you think is going to be a front end of the rotation starter one day, and how bad do you want to overload that with multiple outings a week? I don't know. The beauty is you've got some depth if that's how you feel about it, but he could certainly get 3 outs at the end of games. Has that potential. So I still don't know that I see a lockdown closer that LSU's got. They've just got a lot of guys who can get outs. And maybe you can righty-lefty it. You really like Guidry's breaking ball against this right-handed heavy lineup, you go to him there. If they've got a couple of left-handed thumpers coming in, maybe it's Lohr who's coming at you from 3/4 or high 3/4 from the left side and a funky slider and a weird motion. That may work. Maybe Ackenhausen's ready to go that day, and he can get you some outs from the left side. It's the same amount of depth you had offensively last year where it was just an embarrassment of riches, and you had situations like Gavin Dugas didn't start on opening day, and Josh Pearson sat a lot of the season, and Travinsky didn't play a ton for most of the year, and Jared Jones and Paxton Kling came out of the lineup, and you inserted some guys in there at the end. There was so much depth and flexibility in the lineup where you were kind of looking for anybody that could get outs in the bullpen or start game 3 of the series last year. It seems like a distant memory because they finished it and won the whole thing, and so you don't think about the fact that the pitching staff was compromised, it felt like, for a lot of the year. But they were just trying to find their way, and that may be the case with the offense this year. But the pitching staff is just going to have a bunch of dudes. They're going to need it. They play a lot of baseball in the first 3 weeks of this season. So that's a little bit from Nate Yeskie, LSU's pitching coach, a little bit more baseball as the week progresses. A reminder, we're going to be out at the box for our show next Friday, opening day. We'll move up an hour, noon to 2. We'll be right out there in Championship Plaza, right outside the home plate gate of Alec Box Stadium. Cannot wait to get out there and broadcast. If you're coming to the game on opening day, come on out a little bit early and hang out with us. We're going to try to rope in some guests, potentially some guys who were on the team last year to come on and join us. We're going to have a big old time from noon to 2 leading up to first pitch at the box, and I know most of y'all cannot wait for LSU and VMI a week from Friday. We'll be out there just outside the box. When we come back, I took a pretty deep dive into LSU's non-conference basketball schedule because that's something that is going to have some importance, we hope, moving forward in the Matt McMahon era as you continue to build resumes and try to get in the NCAA tournament. What did it look like this year? That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio Video Security Solutions. What is that? Well, it's audio, surround sound, home entertainment system. It's video, televisions, mounting TVs, security systems. It's the safety of your home. They do it all, and you can find them at avssla.com. If you decide to go with AVSS for your home entertainment system, they can do it all. You just got to give them a call. They can provide all the equipment from the television to the speakers, even a surge protector. And if something goes wrong with that equipment over the course of its life in your home, they'll handle the warranty for you because they're the ones who made the purchase and brought it into your home. It's the kind of local feel that Mitchell Fisher and his team have there at AVSS that makes it different than buying from the big box stores. No, just have Mitchell Fisher and his team come in and set up your entire home entertainment system, whether it's a new build, a new home that you're moving into, or the current home that you'd like to just make some improvements to. You can find them at avssla.com. It's our friends at Audio Video Security Solutions at avssla.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer ends April 30th, 2024.
Was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206 9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Go.
Big game, the Super Bowl between the San Francisco 49ers and Kansas City Chiefs. You can hear it here this Sunday with a special edition of NFL Preview at 1 p.m. from Westwood One, then the scheduled kickoff at 5:30. Catch the game right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Always a crazy one, broke into the stadium and I wrote your number on the 50-yard line. You were always a perfect one.
This February, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and Citizens Bank and Trust are here to offer you a holiday rebate to the tune of $1,000 in cash to help out. Signing up is as simple as heading to 1045ESPN.com. It's our annual holiday rebate gift to you from Citizens Bank and Trust and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're just tuning in. Beck's been playing Toby Keith music into every segment. Still hasn't played my favorite Toby Keith song, but that's another absolute hit.
Only got 2 more shots here.
I know. I had this thought as you were reading that promo and I'm listening to the song and singing along, and I'm like, you know, you've played these 4 songs now, and I've smiled and sang all of them. What an amazing gift to give during your lifetime, as he's moved on far too young, but to be able to put a smile on so many people's faces like that is
after now, you still do that.
Amazing thing, and he was awesome. That you're playing songs that I don't even think about when I think of Toby Keith because he's got so many, but I've known every word to every song he played so far. So. Good stuff. R.I.P. to the great Toby Keith, gone far, far too soon. I want to talk a little LSU basketball here. Now they have a game. We'll look forward to the game tomorrow night as they go up to Knoxville and play the Vols. But we haven't talked any NCAA tournament resume stuff with LSU because, quite frankly, it's not a discussion worth having. LSU's net is 93. They're nowhere near any sort of bracketology situation. You're a 12-9 basketball team that's 4-4 in the SEC. So because we haven't done any of that, I haven't taken the time to go into what their Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 records are. I haven't looked at the net ranking. I didn't know they were 93. I had no idea what they were, and I hadn't looked at what they've done in the non-conference either. So I wanted to do some of that just not as a exercise in figuring out how do they get in the NCAA tournament this year, just because Matt McMahon put this schedule together, and what did it look like in the non-conference? So I'll tell you, if you look at it on its face and you go, okay, Dayton's pretty good, North Texas has had a good couple of years, you played Wake Forest, I know they've won some ACC games, you went to Syracuse, Kansas State came to you, that's a really good non-conference schedule. And I think from the fans' perspective, it is. Because when you play Nichols, which obviously they lost that game, or North Florida or Mississippi Valley State, I don't think anybody that's not really paying attention puts any differentiation between that or playing Belmont or Oral Roberts. It all just kind of sounds the same. They're small schools who are in conferences that get one bid, and who cares, whatever. But that's not necessarily apples to apples. And I've made it a point, I don't ever really bring up the Will Wade era or what was done then and what's done now, and as a point to try to denigrate where the program is right this second. I have no interest in that as a big picture thing. I just want LSU to get good again. But Will Wade had a scheduling system that was excellent, and they brought in a bunch of non-conference teams that you never pay any attention to, that some of you may have never even heard of, but they were going to win 22 games, and it made LSU on paper look fantastic. That's harder to do today than it was then because of the transfer portal. that information was pretty readily accessible to him at that point. He had a numbers guy in California. They would look at the teams that won a lot of games in mid-major conferences one year. How much production do they have back? Put them on the schedule. And you got a lot of, as I mentioned, Belmonts and Lipscombs and teams that were going to win a lot of basketball games. And so as I look at this LSU non-conference schedule, they played in that tournament over in Charleston, and they played Dayton, North Texas, and Wake Forest. It turns out that was a phenomenal place for LSU to go. Dayton is 17 in the net. LSU was up 20 in that game and let it get away in the second half. But that's a quad one game in a neutral site. Wake Forest is number 42 in the net. That's a neutral site game. That's a quad one game. And North Texas is 83 in the net at a neutral site. That's a quad two game. So when you went over to Charleston, you played 2 quad ones and a quad two. And you won 2 games. That's a great tournament for LSU to be in. Syracuse is 84 in the net. That was a true road game. That is a quad 2 game. LSU gets a lot of credit for that. LSU does not get a lot of credit for that because that's the SEC Challenge. So that was just put on your schedule. And Kansas State and Texas. Texas is a quad 1 game. Kansas State's actually a quad 3 game despite their win over Kansas last night. But I'm going to take out the tournament because you didn't really put that on your schedule from a team's perspective. You know you're going to that tournament, but how those teams are going to be, I don't know. And then the ACC Challenge, I'm not going to give LSU a lot of credit for. The league office puts that together. So here's the rest of the non-conference schedule that LSU is responsible for game in and game out. You played Mississippi Valley State to open it. This is hard to believe, but there are 362 teams in D1. Jacob Beck, of the 362 teams in D1, where do you think Mississippi Valley State ranks in the net?
I would say maybe 300.
They are 362nd. That is last. You ask, well, how are they last? Well, they're 0-22. That's how they're last.
They have not won a game.
They have not won a game.
Okay, that's not
so
good.
That's not great for the old net score. It's one game, but you get the point. They're last. Nichols, who you lost to, is 248. That's quad 4. North Florida's quad 4, Southeastern Louisiana's quad 4, Alabama State's quad 4, Lamar's quad 4, Northwestern State's quad 4, Texas is quad 1, Kansas State is quad 3. But of the games that LSU is responsible solely for scheduling, not the ACC SEC Challenge, not the tournament where you're just kind of lucky to draw who you play based on winning and losing, you have 7 quad 4s, 1 quad 3, and 1 quad 1.
I would not count Kansas State against them. You would definitely think that would be
they went to the Elite Eight.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a home game, so you have to play in the top 30 to get a quad 1. That's hard to get to. I'm not faulting them for the Kansas State, but you're gonna need to do a little bit better than Mississippi Valley State at 362, Nichols at 248, Southeastern at 282, Alabama State at 284, Lamar at 238, and Northwestern State at 336. The fact of the matter is that LSU is likely going to need to look good on paper to get a good seeding in the SEC tournament. It's very unlikely that LSU goes 16-2 like they did that one year under Wade, and it's very unlikely that LSU turns in some sort of, top 7 in the country performance and they're a 2 seed. Like, that's LSU in my lifetime, pre-1988 and post-1988, looks generally at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 seeds. Like, that's where you usually end up. And you can manipulate that by being sure that you don't play as many of these awful quad 4 games as you are. Now, I don't want to suggest that this is an egregiously bad schedule by the program. It's not, because if you look at the net, most teams have 4, 5, 6, 7 quad 4s. At this point in the season, most P5s have 5 to 7 of them. Right now, LSU has played 8, and they're 7-1. If there's any way you can avoid it, they need to try. And you're going to have to play some good mid-majors, which are sneaky games to play around Thanksgiving because they're old teams that win a lot of games and have played together a lot of time. And, it can be tricky, but it behooves LSU to do it because, again, you're usually not going to rip off 16 of 18 in league play, and you're not going to get Duke and Kansas on the schedule very often.
So in your mind, is it better to say instead of going 7-1 against quad 4, you would usually you go 8-0. You're not going to lose a game in quad 4. But would you say they would be better off scheduling, let's say, 2 quad 4s and then make that 6 quad 3s, and then maybe you lose 1 or 2 of those? That's got to be better.
And it's a fine line, as we realize, because you don't know what teams are going to be.
Yeah.
Maybe you put somebody on the schedule, they've got a stud conference player of the year, and he tears his ACL at Christmas, and they suck. Like, there are a lot of variables here, and I'm not trying to be negative, but I look at LSU, who's 12-9 and 4-4 in the league with a net of 93. A&M is also 4-4 in the league. Their net's 50 because they played a better non-conference schedule than you did. It's a hard game to play, but it's important for LSU. Kentucky doesn't need this help. They're going to get monster games with Kansas and Louisville every year, even though Louisville's terrible this year. And they're going to be able to play Michigan State whenever they want, and they'll get a game with Indiana, and like they can do whatever they want. And right now, the way that like Bama's playing, they're winning so many league games it doesn't really matter. But you're going to need to play this game, and if it means scheduling a couple more neutral sites, if it means you got to get on the road and go play I know Hanegraaff hates this stuff, but like if you need to go play VCU on the road, which changes the metrics greatly. If you talk about quad 1 at home, you got to play somebody in the top 30. On the road, you got to play somebody in the top 75. That changes the math massively. So you never know what your team's going to look like because it changes so much year over year. You never know what everyone else's team's going to look like because they change a lot. This is a difficult thing. But I feel like looking at this, that this LSU team is saddling itself with more dead weight in the net than they need to. And I realize they're coming off a year where they were second to last in the SEC. And I realize they're coming off a year where they didn't have anybody in the program crawling in. So looking to be really ambitious with their schedule this year probably wasn't the best idea. But this program should be looking to spread its wings next year. And that schedule is not finalized. And in my opinion, you need to start looking at some things that can manipulate your numbers in a positive way for this next basketball season, if it's at all possible. That's just, I did not realize that you had that many games against absolute bottom feeders. I mean, Mississippi Valley State, set aside, that's a disaster, and it was the first game of the year, and who knows who they're going to be 0-22. But there's just too many 280 pluses. Northwestern's 336, Bama State's 284, Southeastern's 282. I mean, you need to. North Texas will come here. They're 83rd in the net. You played them up in Charleston, so that's good. They would come here. You can find those teams. They exist. I'm not always advocating getting on a plane and going to play in a small gym against a team that's super fired up to play you. That can be a recipe for disaster. But I need to see less of these 285 pluses and a few more closer to 160. That's where you realistically needs to live, because if you play a team that's 150 in the net, which is there one comparable in LSU's non-conference? There's really not. But if you play a team that's 150 in the net and you play that team at home, that sits you right there in quad 3, and that's okay. The quad 4s that are way down the line are the ones that will hurt you really bad, and LSU's got more of them on this schedule than I thought. So just my thoughts on the LSU basketball schedule. When we come back, we'll talk a little about a quote that Nate Oats had. I like little rivalries, and it says big rivalry, but rivalries and some of the quotes that they can produce. I'll see what Beck thinks about this one coming up next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Protect yourself from power outages. We have them down here all the time, whether it's the winter storm we went through a couple of weeks ago. We know those afternoon showers in the summer can be really, really intense. And, of course, hurricanes always seem to be lurking when this end of the summer comes around. Protect yourself from power outages with Boudin Electric. Just $5.70 per day for the lifetime of that Generac generator, for the peace of mind of knowing that your power is not going to go out. If it's during some really serious weather event and you decide to stay home, you want your power functioning. If you do decide to evacuate, you want to come home to a house that's not 97 degrees with a fridge that doesn't work and you have to throw everything out and the smell's horrific. You don't have to deal with all that kind of stuff. And you do if you don't have a generator. So give my friends at Boudin Electric a call. Got a brand new location opening up in the coming weeks here in Gonzales, but the phone line is already ready to go. Neil and Melissa have been operating them for 40 years, and you can call them at 225-300-9389, 225-300-9389. That's our friends over at Boudin Electric.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Elevate brand visibility, ignite customer engagement with the power of radio and digital advertising combined. Guarantee Digital Media brings the two together as a trusted media partner in Louisiana for nearly a century. Claim your free digital audit at guaranteemedia.com.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer ends April 30th, 2024.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. 1 day away from National Signing Day, Shay Dixon joins us to set the stage. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
We got winners, we got losers, chain smokers and boozers, and we got yuppies, we got bikers, we've got thirsty hitchhikers.
As the gladiators of the gridiron battle it out for football's biggest prize, you'll be battling it out for one of radio's biggest prizes. It's the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge Big Game Contest, where you could win $50,000 cash if your name is drawn from the pot and you've correctly guessed the final score of the game. Get your score guesses in now at 1045ESPN.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You got one more chance. That's not the one. It's
Hey.
great. I love this bar. It's awesome. Brock Cantro, BRCC AD, texted me earlier saying I love this bar, and there it is, and it's fantastic, but it's not my favorite. So you got one more shot.
All right.
Graver in the Bayou Ford chat says Red Solo Cup. I'll give you a hint. It's not Red Solo.
Okay, good.
So you can
narrow that one down.
You can look a little bit deeper than that. I'm curious your thoughts on this, Beck, because I could go either way on it. I want to believe the worst, but I could go either way. Nate Oats, who has been known to poke the bear, famously looked at my head basketball coach once and said, "Get the blank out," which I didn't love, candidly. I don't love him, candidly. I think his teams are phenomenal, and they're incredible to watch from a basketball perspective, and I don't really like him very much, so I want to be very mad at him. He was asked about his team going to Neville Arena, which was formerly known Auburn Arena, to play their in-state rival, the Iron Bowl, on the hardwood. And this is his quote on Neville Arena, which we believe to be one of the toughest places to play in really all of college basketball right now. Oates said, quote, "It reminds me a lot of high school gyms, just with a lot more people in there. You kind of pack 2,000 people in a high school gym and get a similar setting. Now you pack whatever they seat, 8, 9, 10,000, whatever. That place is loud." Is that a shot at Auburn?
To me, it's perfect for him because he definitely wants to put some vitriol in the air with that comment, but he's also not wrong, because to me that Auburn Arena and then like Coleman and Cameron Indoor, they're both like they are basically high school gyms. And I'm not saying that obviously they both have some amenities that a high school gym doesn't have, but at the same time, that's what it is. It's a glorified high school gym.
It's closer to the gym at a big high school than it is to Madison Square Garden.
Yes, yes.
Certainly.
So he's not wrong.
And it's far closer than like Rupp Arena and the Tommy Bowl in Knoxville are just massive places, and this is not. And I will give Nate Oates this. He was recently a high school basketball coach. Like he had a meteoric rise, threw up into Buffalo, then to Alabama, but he was a high school coach previously. And I think for a lot of us who have been in packed high school gyms, I can go back to my high school playing days. We had one good team. We were good my junior year, and it kind of caught on, and people started coming. Like we had for our first playoff game, his first playoff game in forever, the fire marshal said no one else can come back in there. And I can vividly remember being in that setting, and I thought I was in Cameron Indoor, I was there were probably 600 people there, but it felt like everyone was on top of you. So that does make sense. But you still said Auburn plays at a high school gym.
Yeah,
that in the core of it's like a high school gym. But he's also coming at it from a spot where his team plays in Coleman Coliseum, which is, I believe, the biggest dump in the league.
It is very much probably the ugliest gym I've ever seen.
It was, the Tad Pad was awful in Oxford. They've obviously upgraded to the Pavilion. Coleman has not been upgraded to my knowledge. It's dumpy. A lot of teams in the league have built new facilities or put a lot of money into them. Florida completely redid the O-Dome. South Carolina's arena is fairly new. You're talking about, Memorial Gym's a dump in Nashville, but it's got its character, so it kind of holds up. Coleman just they're building the Taj Mahal for football. They just built a new baseball stadium because Saban wanted Jameis Winston. And basketball's kind of been neglected. They probably need to rectify that, but I think Nate Oates, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say he means it's a really tough environment to play in because it's so small and they're so on top of you.
He definitely, it was just perfect. It was a perfect opportunity for him because he's technically not wrong, but at the same time, he's trying to poke the bear.
Yeah, I think so. And somebody just put this on Twitter, and I would have not noticed this for sure. Auburn and Alabama, who now have really good basketball programs, and it's a great rivalry. They have played on a midweek game 17 of the last 20 games, which is a 50-50 shot. It feels like the league August ought to throw them a bone and let them play on the weekend some, but they have not done that to this point. They'll play tomorrow coming up in Auburn Arena. Just some looks at the SEC games for tonight. Just a couple of games in SEC men's basketball tonight. We'll be out at Pluckers tonight, incidentally, if you want to come hang out and watch some SEC hoops and play some sports trivia. You can win gift cards. You can have some cold drinks. You can have some awesome food. And you can watch some SEC basketball. The 5:30 game on SEC Network, number 15, South Carolina hosting Ole Miss. I think I kind of got to trust South Carolina at this point to get it done in that one. And then the game I believe my wife will be wagering on is Kentucky at Vanderbilt. Why would my wife be wagering on that game? Well, ESPN Bet has got a great promo that I took advantage of with Alabama on the money line on Saturday. Bet $10 on any game. You get $100 in free bets. I did that on Saturday. I hit my bet. I cashed that money out. I have $100 in free bets that I put on my Super Bowl bets. We're going to download the app, ESPN Bet app, on my wife's phone tonight. I'm taking Kentucky on the money line. I was going
to say, I'm guessing you probably instructed her not to take Vanderbilt.
I'm taking Kentucky on the money line there. We're going to go ahead and take that $100 in free bets and throw that on the Super Bowl as well, because ESPN Bet will allow you to do that. It's easy. You just download the app, insert your information. All you do is place that bet, and immediately once you place that bet, You've got the bonus bets right there at your disposal. You just pick any bet you want, and when you go to put your amount in, it says promo offer. You click it, and the $20 is right there, so it could not be any easier. I'll have the Cats on the money line, and honestly, if we don't get to it tonight, because my wife may work late and I've got the kiddo, I might have to take Tennessee on the money line tomorrow against LSU for that.
Wow. Fake fan.
No, just financial strategy. We're just going with an
investment.
It's an investment strategy. LSU and the Tommy Bowl don't love their chances. I'd rather bet Kentucky against Vanderbilt, but we'll see what has to happen. All right, that's it for this segment. We'll come back and we will close it out with a little take it or leave it on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. If you're just not thrilled with the way your bathroom looks, functions, let David Duvall and his team come in. They can do a full-scale bathroom renovation, and they're the only call you'll have to make. You don't have to call 4 different contractors to get the entirety of it done. David Duvall and his team finish it soup to nuts. Maybe it's not a full-scale renovation that you're trying to do. Maybe it's just simply a tub-to-shower conversion. You don't ever use that old tub. You pull it out, put in a gorgeous glass walk-in shower, changes the look, changes the aesthetic and the functionality of your bathroom. Financing options are available. You just got to go to the website, OneBathAndClosets.com. Look at the pictures, look at the testimonials, and request that free consultation from David and his team. It's One Bath and Closets. The website is OneBathAndClosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Join MMR and ignite your career today. MMR is the largest electrical and instrumentation contractor in the nation, and they're seeking talented individuals to join their team. For over 3 decades, they've been headquartered right here in Baton Rouge, and they have offices all around the globe.
And MMR offers a tailored path for both professional and personal development, outstanding benefits, and a dynamic culture. So whether you're an intern, a seasoned pro, or you're just starting out, see what MMR can offer you. Apply at mmrgrp.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or
On On Wednesdays, OTB. Jake is out. Flynn is in. An hour of flustering coming your way. Plus, one day closer to the big game. Also, it's signing day, and Bussy Watch continues. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
American girls and American guys, we'll always stand up and salute. We'll always recognize when we see old glory flying. There's a lot of men dead, so we can sleep in peace at night when we lay down our head. My daddy served in the army.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Maybe the most recognizable Toby Keith song?
Yeah, probably.
Maybe. Not my favorite, though.
Wow.
Not my favorite.
I'm not going to lie. I saw that you had put in Take It or Leave It. You'd put this song in there and asked if it was his best, and so I thought that meant it was your favorite, but I guess I was wrong.
It's awesome. I love it. I mean, and obviously in a time where everybody was really united and feeling red, white, and blue in the face of tragedy, and he writes this song. But I think country music fans know a lot of Toby Keith songs.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of friends that hate country music, but if I said Toby Keith, they would go, "Oh, boot up your," like they would come up with this one. I love it. I think it's great, but not my favorite. How about this, Beck? We're gonna play out some Toby Keith at the end of the show.
Okay.
See if you can get it with one more try.
All right.
Does that sound good? All right.
Sure.
Let's play some Take It or Leave It.
All right, first one here. Will Wade, who's led the McNeese Cowboys to a 20-3 start, has received a new 5-year contract extension worth $700,000 annually. Wade's buyout following the season will be $1.25 million and $1 million after the 2024-25 season. Proactive move by Athletic Director Heath Schroyer. Wade in Lake Charles for 5 more months. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. I think he'll get a job. This is interesting because it doesn't matter what Will Wade makes at McNeese. He's going to move on to another job whenever that comes open, whether that's Louisville maybe looking to make a move here.
Texas A&M. I mean,
I don't think so.
They've only been in the tournament once since Buzz Williams been there.
I don't think they're going to do that. It's not a terrible thought, but they were one of the best teams in the league last year, and right now they've won 3 out of 4, and they're 4-4 in the league. I'm not sure that they're going to move on. I don't know that there's a lot of volatility in the SEC. Now, he's from Nashville.
Vanderbilt? You can win there.
Yes, I don't know if they want him.
No, probably not.
They're feeling clean cut and kind of like they're above the whole riffraff of college athletics, and Will Wade's reputation precedes him. They'd be fools not to hire him, but I don't think that that's the direction they're going to go. We'll see, but that's home for him. I hope he doesn't. I don't want him in the SEC. I like him too much to pull against him that hard. So I'm hopeful that doesn't happen. I hope something comes open in the ACC that he wants, or potentially Louisville. That'd be just fine. But this is a situation where they've got a buyout in place that McNeese will get a nice check when he leaves. No school is going to bat an eye at $1.25 million buyout if they've got a coach that they want. So it's just a chance for McNeese to recoup some funds when they inevitably have to move on. But this has been a great hire by them. They're more relevant in basketball than at any point in the history of their existence, other than maybe when Joe Dumars was there. This is the best they've ever been. So great hire by McNeese, and hopefully Will Wade head somewhere else. But it ain't going to be in Lake Charles for 2 more years.
Clayton Kershaw is re-signing with the Dodgers. The Dodgers have 4 future Hall of Famers in their team right now. Take it or leave it.
I'd probably take it. Kershaw's a slam dunk. Ohtani is going to make the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
we have to
yeah,
think.
yeah.
And then you've got Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, who are all-star players or MVP players. Just a matter of, do they accumulate the stats necessary over their time. Freddie doesn't hit as many home runs as a first baseman you generally would. He's an extremely high average hitter and a guy that doesn't strike out a lot. So he's probably on the outside looking in, but if he sticks out for a long time, wins some Gold Gloves, and maybe throws another MVP in there for sure. And I think Mookie Betts, I would probably think he's got a real good chance to make the Hall of Fame. So that would be your 4, and then we'll see if they can get there. Kershaw will, though. A lot of people thought he was going to go to the Rangers, go home and pitch for the hometown team before he was done, but 17 years with the Dodgers.
Last one here. St. John's coach Rick Pitino said that the conferences in college basketball need a salary cap of up to $2 million for the major conferences, and then the rest of the conferences can just decide on their own what their salary cap would be. And it's also, to me, kind of interesting that Rick Pitino, of all people, would say this, but a salary cap in college basketball, take it or leave it.
You've got to deem these players employees and have the money come from one place. There's no cap on professional athletes' endorsement money, and that's really what we're talking about here. The salary cap is for a salary, and these players aren't on salary. So, again, if you tell them you can only make so much money, then you're limiting their ability to make money, and that's an antitrust violation. Like, this is what the NCAA does not follow the laws of the land. So I don't have the great answer. Nobody does, because there hasn't been one proposed. But this one leaves something to be desired, I would think, and I can't get on board with that. It's not apples to apples with the NBA. That's a totally different situation. So that'll do it for Take It or Leave It. If you're coming out to Pluckers tonight, coming out at 8:30. It's a great time. Sports trivia. We'll be there from 8:30. We'll have you out of there before 10 o'clock. Very much look forward to our Tuesday nights out of the Nicholson location. So come, bring a team, bring yourself, watch some hoops, win some gift cards, and enjoy a Tuesday night out at Pluckers as we do each and every week. If you missed any of today's show, catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you find your audio, you can find us.
That's not it, though.
That's not
obviously.
it.
Yeah.
That's not it. That's a good one. I want to talk about me. Very, very good. My favorite Toby Keith song ever, My List. Go for a walk, say a little prayer, take a deep breath of mountain air. That's the goat, but this one's good as well. R.I.P. to the legend Toby Keith, taken far too soon. You can listen to some of this on the way out. Matt's coming back with you.
I want to talk about me, want to talk about I, want to talk about number one. Oh, my, me, my, what a thing.
Happy New Year from your friends at Front to Back Boat Service. And what better way to kick off your new year than by taking your boat to the next level? Get the boat of your dreams, and that's where Front to Back comes into play. You want that spot lock trolling motor that's going to keep you right there on the water where you need to be. How about some forward-facing sonar that actually shows you the fish before you even cast? Custom stereo jobs, all of it. Sherman family's been doing it for 38 years. Go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer ends April 30th, 2024.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at